Most homeowners never think about their water heater until it fails, and when it fails, it always fails at the worst possible time. Today, I want to talk about how our water heaters work, why they fail, and what we can do to prevent that and make them last longer. My name is Chris Williamson. I'm the owner of Flex Plumbing here in the Inland Empire, directly out of Moreno Valley. And today I'm in front of a Eco Defender Bradford White 50-gallon gas-fed water heater. This is not my install, but we're going to go over this one and what everything is involved. So obviously we have our tank here. It's got a shield around it that's just for decorations. Inside of here there is a steel tank. On top of this tank, below the tank is going to be our chamber where our burner is going to be, our burner assembly and our pilot assembly. We have our gas control valve here. Gas comes fed through here. We have the gas shutoff valve there. Gas feeds into here. From here, it feeds down into the burner, into the pilot assembly. You'll have a thermal pile or a thermal couple inside of there with your pilot tube and your igniter, which will keep your pilot lit. Then you have a burner. Up here, you'll have your T&P valve, which is your temperature and pressure. This regulates. If the pressure ever gets too big in this, it's a safety device. It'll actually open up and let the water out instead of the tank exploding. Then you have your hot water coming in. Your cold water coming in with your cold water shutoff valve that'll kill the water to the water heater. And you have your hot water out with your flex lines. We have our flue vent that goes up through the roof. And then back here, what you can't see is the port for the anno rod. Your anno rod goes down in here, and I'll explain that later. We have our earthquake straps here in California where they're required with our Smitty pan, and we are up off the ground here in California. It's also code to be up off the ground. So that's our water heater. And how our water heater works. Cold water comes in. This has a temperature pressure or a temperature gauge on it that knows when the temperature needs to is not where it's supposed to be. At that point, this thing will fire up, tell it to feed gas. Gas feeds down through the tube and into the burner. Inside of here, there's a pilot from the box. You light the pilot. Every water heater has its own instructions on how to light it. But basically, there's a tube and a pilot light in there. That pilot light always stays on. So when this calls for gas, that pilot light lights the burner. This thing heats up till the water gets to the temperature that it's set at. Once it gets to that, it tells it to kill the burner. The burner shuts off. Pilot light stays on. Hot water heats up. Hot water always rises, goes up, feeds the rest of the house. So that's how our water heater works in general for all water heaters. It might be a little bit different, but for general, that's how it all works. So why a water heater would fail? Well, there's lots of little reasons. You could have your gas control valve go out. So sometimes these things go bad depending on how dirty is the gas coming in. In California, it's now code to have a sediment trap before the gas comes in here to collect some of that sediment. But if anything comes in through the gas line, it can actually destroy this gas valve, and that can cause failures. You have your thermal couple, your thermal pile, which is your pilot light. Those can go bad over time if you don't clean them, or just the lifespan of those rods go out, and you have to replace those, which is a pilot assembly. So those are minor things that can go wrong on a water heater that can be fixed. You could get a leak in your flex line. Your T&P valve could go bad, get debris stuck in it, it could get clogged, it could always stick open, so you can replace that. So all of these are things on a water heater that we can fix and we can replace depending on the age of the water heater. Sometimes these parts are under warranty and the manufacturer will send the parts out for you. So these are all things that we can replace. We can replace the gas valve. This spins out of the unit, we can put a new gas valve in. We can replace the burner if the burner gets burnt out and we have holes in the burner, we have an inconsistent flame, we can replace that burner. The pilot assembly goes bad and the pilot light won't stay on, we can replace that. There are safety and temperature switches that also can go bad at times, and you can replace those all very easily, and it gets water heater still working and going properly. The thing with a water heater is, which causes most of the failures, is a tank leak. So with this tank inside, it's a steel tank, and it can develop a hole. The reason this happens is the quality of water coming into our house. People don't think about that, but the minerals that are in our water, it builds up on the sides of these tanks and it starts to eat a hole. Every time you hear the popping noise in your water heater, that's the calcium building up on the side of the tank. And when it gets heated up, that calcium explodes. And every time it explodes, it takes a little bit of metal with it. Over time, that's going to create a leak in your tank. We have our anno rod that is inside of our tank here. And what that does is it attracts the minerals that are in the water. So as the minerals come in, What you do is instead of attaching to the side of the tank, it actually attaches to your anno rod. But most people do not change your anno rod. So as soon as it eats that anno rod away, then it's all going to go to your tank. And even if you have an anno rod, if your water is not good water, it's hard water, it's still going to stick to the sides of the tank. So that calcium buildup, or that the mineral buildup on the tank over time with the heat expansion, is what causes a tank leak. Another cause for the tank leaks that people don't think about a lot, and it's not on their mind, right? They call me out to look at their water heater and tell me I have a water heater leak. The first thing I'm going to go do is check the pressure, because if the pressure coming into the house is high, right? Because you should be between 45 and 65, and if you're not, if you're over that, you should have a pressure regulator. If you're below that, you're going to have a pump to the house. But a lot of places, especially here in Southern California, the pressure is way higher. So it might be 100 psi, 120 psi. So we have pressure regulators coming into our house on our water system that brings all the pressure down in the whole house. So if that pressure regulator is not where it needs to be, and you have constant pressure on this thing, that's obviously going to cause the thing to leak a lot quicker as well. If the tank goes out, there is no fixing the water heater. At that point, we have to replace the water heater. So what can we do to help prevent this? Well, we could do obviously your annual flush and your annual maintenance. So these things need to be maintenance annually. And what that maintenance should include should be going through all your components, cleaning everything, cleaning out your thermopile or thermocouple. If you have a sediment trap, cleaning out the sediment trap, checking all connections, checking flex lines for leaks, checking your T&P, making sure that's working. Also, we're going to drain and flush the tank, and what we're going to do for that is you need to get the calcium that's built up out of there. So what we do is we drain it, then we'll fill it up, get that calcium moving around, drain it again, do that a couple times to get all, until you get a clean, you're not getting any more calcium out with the flush. While you're doing that each year, you want to pull the anno rod out and check the anno rod. If it's good, then you're good, you leave it in. If it's starting to get eaten away, maybe you got another year out of it, but you need to look at replacing that, because that is going to help to get the calcium to build up on that and eat that away, and not your tank, and it's going to prolong the life of your tank. If you do that annual maintenance every year, that's about as much maintenance as you could do on these things and keep them up and running. With that being said, the hard water is what's killing these things. So if you can get a filtration system in your house, a whole house filtration or something like that, a Halo 5 or one of those brands, that's going to clean the water coming into the tank, and that's going to prolong the life by, who knows? I mean, it's your apples and oranges at that point with the water coming in. Now, all that being said, you're still only going to get 8 to 10 years out of a water heater. It's not like the olden days where we would get 25, 30 years out of these water heaters. They're not lasting that long anymore. So 8 to 10 years is where we're at and about on the lifespan of a water heater. Most people always wait till this water heater goes out. That's when they want to replace it. The problem is where your water heater is located and when it goes out. Because whenever it's an emergency, you got to remember you're going to pay more. You're wanting somebody to come out. It's always going to happen on Sunday night at midnight. Your water heater is going to go out, or Sunday morning you wake up, take a shower in the morning, you're going to have no hot water, and it's going to be an emergency call, and you're going to pay double the price. If you're watching your water heater and you're maintaining it, you should know when it's starting to get time to replace it. You want to replace it before it's an emergency. There's a couple things that are going to happen if you wait. One, you might be waiting, right? You might be out without hot water for 2 days, depending on your family and what's going on. That could be a big deal. The other thing is, depending on where your water heater is located, this one's in a garage, it's on a platform, it's got a pan underneath it, the pan is facing the front. So in theory, if this thing leaks, this thing should come out to the front, but this pipe's not leading anywhere. So if they don't catch it in time, and let's just say this driveway is sloped back towards the house, they could get damage in the drywall, and now they're looking at an insurance claim. Or there's carpet in this garage, so it might flood out this entire carpet, and now you're replacing everything because we weren't watching the signs. So the signs are, obviously, if you see any water around the tank ever, you know that you're leaking. If you're starting to get rust spots up on top where your connections are, that's a sign that it's going out. If you're starting to get rust, we didn't really talk about the drain, but you have your drain here for the water heater. If you start getting rust or starting to see water around that, that's a good sign of it. When you see all your fixtures in your house and your shower and you have all that white calcium all over everything, that's exactly what this thing looks like inside of it. I've cut these things open, and I mean, just, you have layers of calcium at the bottom. And that's the other thing we're not thinking about. When we don't maintenance this thing, you have a burner under this, and you're trying to heat up water. And when you have all that sediment buildup, it's like trying to burn through, boil water on a stove through a brick. Because now your water heater's having to work double or triple to heat that same amount of water, because you're going through all this calcium. So we got to get that calcium to not build up and not be there in the first place. Obviously, doing your maintenance is going to help you do that once a year. But even then, if your water quality coming into the house is so bad, it's not going to matter. You're going to eat through these water heaters way quicker than you should. You're going to put a lot of money into an investment on a water heater. You should make sure you get the most out of your investment, right? You want your ROI back on your water heater. And if you're having to replace your water heater every 6 years because your water quality, you could have saved that money in the softener, and not just saving your water heater, but all the other fixtures in your house that are getting eaten up by the same water, not to mention putting it into your hair, putting it into your skin, and using it for eating and all that other stuff. So those are the things that we can do to help maintain the water heater and to give it as much life as possible. Once you get to the point where it is time to replace your water heater, right? You've read the signs, you've been maintaining it, you're 8 to 10 years into it, it's out of warranty. Your water quality maybe not be the best. You're in a, depending on where that water heater is, it might be in, you might be in your closet in the house, it might be in the attic, it might be in a basement, it might be in an area where if it does flood out, you're going to have a lot of damage. I've seen a lot of flooded houses over the years because of water heaters. And if you don't do the right signs and you don't have the drain set up right, when you have a bursted tank, it could be big damage. And I've seen people out of their house for a month because they had to rip out their furnace and rip out walls and do all kinds of things to repair where the damage from the water heater came. So once we know it is time to replace your water heater and you're ready to do that, you have lots of options at that point. We can go back with the same tank type style water heater, and we can do that. You have tankless options at that point. You have hybrid options at that point. So there's lots of different options once you are ready to replace the water heater that may be more efficient or more effective for your family or your lifestyle or what your situation is. So like I said, if you're in the Inland Empire and you're looking for someone to come out and do a maintenance, or you're looking for a new unit, or just looking at the options, you can look us up and give us a call. We would love to come out and help. I'm going to keep making videos about different systems, and we'll talk about, I think, pressure regulators next. We'll go somewhere like that. But hope you appreciate the information, and we'll talk to you again soon.